Hi, this is Ashish Bidekar and welcome to my podcast show, The ARB Show. I'm thrilled to introduce today's guest, Bala. Bala is interested in building the next generation deep tech companies in digital health and diagnostic space. He has earlier led various digital health and AI initiatives as a part of CSIR in collaboration with multinational companies. Bala has a BTech from IIT Madras and a PhD from UC Berkeley, USA, in photonics and a minor in business degree from Haas School of Business, UC Berkeley. He has published over 100 papers and has 3 US patents. He is currently the founder and CEO of Ayur.AI. His vision is to realize evidence-based Ayurveda for personalized and integrative health and medicine. Welcome to the show, Bala. Look forward to hearing your views on top 5 trends in Ayurveda. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Ashish. It's great to be here. Talking about Ayurveda has always been a fascination to me. First, I'll start with the personal reason why I got into Ayurveda. I had a disease called chronic gastritis, and after 5 years of treatment with conventional means, it didn't help. Then I went to an Ayurveda doctor, and he helped me significantly with my disease. So that's how I got into Ayurveda. And post working in CSIR, it has been a pleasure for me, being an engineer, to learn more about Ayurveda and understand in the modern context. So coming back to the top 5 trends, I think the more importantly post-COVID, there is a realization that keeping ourselves healthy is very important. And even during COVID times, you would have heard that many people resorted to preventive measures, taking the herbal medicine, taking precautions, stress relief techniques, which are emphasized in Ayurveda to keep ourselves healthy. So essentially post-COVID, we see a huge trend in Ayurveda in the sense that there is more acceptance that it is a system that we have been following for centuries, and Ayurveda has something meaningful to offer to us to stay healthy. So I think that's one trend we are seeing constantly, more acceptance of Ayurveda. In fact, last week there was a study which shows that published in Business Line, which shows that 1 in 2 urban Indians use Ayurveda in one form or the other.
Great. So when you talk about this specific trend, do you also see a similar interest across the world? And what are your feedback on that? Because at least on social media, you see a lot of folks talking about Ayurveda in the West as well. So is it a global phenomena or is it only an India phenomena? What are your views?
Yeah, excellent question. In fact, that was my third trend, that Ayurveda is increasingly being accepted, globally. The reason is, if you look at, the healthcare cost all over the world, US spends, trillions of dollars in healthcare cost. And there was a study which shows that if you can keep the entire US population healthy for an extra year, you can save $38 trillion. So the trend, in this direction is that we need more personalized, integrative care that not only treats the disease, but understands health in a holistic context, so that we don't become diseased. And that's where a lot of people are migrating to Ayurveda and traditional sciences.
Got it. Also, would you agree with the statement that, the whole modern healthcare system is built on an incentive that you, as a patient, fall sick, So the more people fall sick, more are the money or more is the profit. That's one, maybe some might call as a cynical view, but that's the harsh reality. When you talk of a holistic view, it starts with when you're not sick, So it becomes more and more preventive and more a lifestyle disease, which in turn would mean that you don't require medication or you don't require various stuff. So that's a great insight. What are the other trends you would like to cover? Sorry, I kind of jumped on trends third, but we can come back to that again.
Sure. The second trend is, at least, being in the startup world, and I'm also an adjunct professor had been an adjunct professor at IIT Jodhpur. There's a lot more emphasis on scientific spin on Ayurveda, in the sense that Ayurveda had enough clinical evidence for the past 2000 plus years, but it has been very fragmented, right? Some doctors will say that I have cured, right, so many patients. We don't have digital records, right? What has happened before and after. And there is enough anecdotal evidence, at least my interaction with the Ayurveda doctors, even diseases which are very hard to manage by modern science, in certain cases, they have been treated with Ayurveda. But this has been a very anecdotal evidence, not structured, not backed up by rigorous, clinical research and understanding of the science of Ayurveda. So the second trend that we see is that there's a lot more emphasis on scientific way of analyzing Ayurveda. Of course, Ayurveda by nature, Ayurveda, life, science. Though we called it science, right? It was understood and explained in slightly different terms because it originated 2000 years back, right? The basic science of Ayurveda. But now we have a language to understand the concepts of Ayurveda, both at genetic level, epigenetic level, etc. So there's a lot of research being pursued to understand Ayurveda. Just to give an example, there's a field called Ayurgenomics, which emphasizes that what is the genetic basis for the Prakriti phenotypes described in Ayurveda, and before and after certain Ayurveda treatment, how does your transcriptome change, gut microbiome change, all these factors being understood in modern perspective. So there's a lot more science being driven into it.
Right, because essentially, even if you look at modern medicine, it's all evidence-based medicine, right? So the more peer research, the more clinical trials and more analysis would do, the more is the overall, humanity would be benefited in that way. Similarly, I think there's a lot of similar emphasis on traditional Chinese medicine and a scientific study. So I think that we have got good parallels to kind of benchmark ourselves from an Ayurveda perspective and ensure that the best kind of treatment, best kind of standardization happens. Because one thing which I read somewhere is that many a times if there is no standardization, right, the benefits or the efficacy of the treatment would determine from Ayurveda Charya or a Ayurvedic doctor to doctor based on his skill. But if you have a defined, structure or defined best practice for a specific treatment, it will be a standardized one. So that's great to hear. What are the other trends you would like to share?
So following on that earlier trend that we talked about, right, global acceptance of Ayurveda, two thoughts. See, if you look at Western, culture, yoga is very, well practiced, and also emphasis is given for physical health, right? Though yoga is supposed to be both combination of both physical and mental, but somehow it was repackaged and structured as a way to keep yourself physically fit, nimble, etc., etc. So a lot of yoga studios, right? When you walk in a state like California, Silicon Valley, you see yoga studios everywhere. Similarly, meditation, right? Even the techniques like cognitive behavioral therapy are being complemented with meditation techniques to improve the patient outcomes. So these two, in a sense, parallels of or spin-offs of Ayurveda, whatever you call it, are already being accepted in the Western culture. Now, the whole sum of Ayurveda, which includes, right, physical aspect, mental aspect, and a very personalized way of living, it is picking up because, we have been looking at human in a very reductionist way, right? You have symptoms, I will treat that particular symptom. But to keep ourselves healthy, it needs to be a whole body perspective. And that's why even in Western countries, it is realized that you need to at least use certain practices, right, including traditional practices, to keep yourself healthy. The second point is, you mentioned about traditional Chinese medicine, TCM. We look at US, Australia, and other countries. There's a lot more standardization that has happened in TCM, and that's why TCM is a recognized practice in these Western countries. So if we look at it, right, and there are enough people, practitioners in these countries who are giving extra benefit to all the population. So the trend is going to continue. There are a lot more traditional medicinal systems that will get integrated into the Western world, and all of us will benefit so that we don't become diseased and live longer.
Got it. Interesting. So what are the other trends you would like to talk about?
So other trend that is being, at least practiced in a lot of Western countries and picking up in India is a field called functional medicine, functional integrative medicine. So basically, right, instead of typically, right, if you get ear pain, we go to ear doctor. If you get stomach pain, right, we go to a stomach doctor. If we get mental pain and mental illnesses, we go to a psychologist. So the field had been very specialized, right, in the conventional way, right. The specialist doctors typically look at the disease. It is increasingly understood that most of the ailments that we get, they actually have some functional and fundamental basis, right? For example, if your metabolism is disturbed, it can lead to diabetes, it can lead to PCOS, it can lead to Alzheimer's. So basically, the functional basis for why diseases originate is being, recognized globally. So if you look at it, right, there are a lot of functional medicine doctors who not only look at a particular aspect of your disease, but understand the root cause of the disease and how that can be engineered, right, to make sure you become better. So Ayurveda, right, essentially fits into this category of integrative and functional medicine with an added layer of highly personalization. So if you can package Ayurveda as an integrative functional medicine system, which already is accepted in a lot of countries, but lose the jargon, but get the spirit out of Ayurveda, I think there is a huge possibility combining Ayurveda and modern science to deliver good patient outcomes. So a lot of times we see, there is this debate, right, whether modern science is good and Ayurveda is good, right? I think if you ask me, these debates don't go anywhere, right? The patient wants outcomes and each of the system has its own advantages. So the future is going to be integration of Ayurveda and modern science. That's why we call functional integrative medicine to deliver the best healthcare outcomes.
Got it. And what would be the fifth and final trend which you would like to share with the audience?
So there is the final trend. See, the ecosystem, right? For any field to progress, there should be an enabler for the ecosystem. And most of the times, the government that plays a critical role in terms of, right, the discourse, the funding that is needed, right, to promote and ensure that the system is scaled and help people. So recently, right, there is a lot of push from the government, right, towards a scientific way of looking at Ayurveda and ensuring that the benefits of Ayurveda can be scaled, right, throughout the nation. So as you know, right, 600 million people in the country, right, live in a very meagerly salaries. So if any of them get sick, right, the cost of healthcare is so prohibitively high that they'll have to compromise on their, food and other very basic necessities. So there's a lot of push from the government into something called health and wellness centers, and out of 1.5 lakhs or so health and wellness centers, close to 15,000 are going to be managed or already being managed by Ministry of Ayush. So there's a huge push into delivering Ayurveda to the grassroots level.
Got it. So can you share with the audience what specific interventions or what specific focus are you doing at Ayur.AI? And so that would be very valuable for the audience, because now they have an idea of what are the trends and now they can understand what you are doing.
Yeah. So Ayur.AI is a company that started to ensure that Ayurveda is very evidence-based and the outcomes that we want to show are backed up by rigorous evidence. So in this aspect, we're working on two solutions. One solution is called iWell, Ayurveda-based integrative wellness. So we have an application where a user who is interested in improving their health and wellness, typically the target, right, audience is 30 to 50. That's when we start seeing the early symptoms, right, of our diseases, etc. And if we can detect them at an early stage, Ayurveda has an excellent framework. So we have an AI-based digital assist, what we don't call AI as artificial intelligence. It's an augmented intelligence where the user can collect a lot of parameters as described in Ayurveda, and we give a first level of assessment. Then they can consult an Ayurveda doctor to get a fuller assessment of their current health. They can choose what is the wellness category they're interested in improving, and the Ayurveda doctor, along with help by the AI, gives highly personalized holistic recommendations, which includes what diet you should eat, what lifestyle including yoga, meditation, pranayama, etc., and herbal products that the Ayurveda doctor can recommend.
Got it. So essentially, would it be right to say that your platform essentially links customers and Ayurveda doctors?
So, yes, all the Ayurveda doctors are part of our company. So essentially, we look at this platform as a way where you can remain healthy and understand early symptoms of your disease and ensure that you don't become diseased.
Got it. Got it. So can you just share something on the various B2B partnerships which you have in place, and what, from your application perspective, what are the growth figures and any learnings in the journey so far?
Yeah, so we just started in January. So we started with something called corporate wellness, right? Being in a startup, I know how stressful it is, right, to do the day-to-day work, right? And also the early symptoms that we see, we typically neglect. Okay? So we've started something called corporate wellness program where we have an Ayurveda doctor. They do the assessment in the application, and we have seen very initial promising results in the sense that everybody who follows the recommendations of the doctor, almost 95% plus have seen an improvement within a month, whether it is their physical improvement, whether it is mental improvement, etc., if they follow. Okay, so that's the early trends that we see, that there is a lot more emphasis on holistic way of looking at the health. The second is the B2B partnerships. Obviously, the ecosystem needs the right partnerships. So we have partnered with a couple of Ayurveda companies. So after the assessment is done in our application, the Ayurveda companies list their products. So these are highly regarded companies, including Maharshi Ayurveda, Dr. Vaidya's, Indus Biotech, etc., where the user can directly purchase the doctor recommended supplements and products.
Got it. Got it. So another thing which, of course, our grandmoms and moms used to say is that, depending on the weather, there are few things, do's and don'ts, right? So from your research, is there any evidence for that, or it is only an old grandma's tale?
Well, if you ask me, right, the wisdom that our grandparents had, right, was much more precious, right, than lot of the noise that we hear online. So if you look at Ayurveda, in fact, that term is called Dinacharya and Rutucharya, right? It is quite well described depending on what my phenotype is, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, or combination of, right? There are certain precautionary measures that you can do. Just to give an example, right? Let's say if I'm a Pitta phenotype, you can actually take some cooling foods in the morning so that you don't get very high Pitta, right? Again, if I'm a Kapha person, there is certain herbs. You can actually do energizing breathing, energizing meditation, etc. Even when the season changes, there are a lot of precautionary measures that are described in Ayurveda, right? In terms of drinking, right? In terms of putting spices, right? Ginger, etc. when it is cold, so that you get a lot more body heat generated, etc. So this, I strongly believe, right, that if you look at Ayurveda text, there is very clear procedures that are described to remain healthy. Just want to emphasize one more point which I missed. See, the way we look at Ayurveda is it's not agnostic to the modern tools. So Ayurveda emphasizes a lot on your gut health, right? We call it your Kosta is your Inuit gut, and your Agni has to be proper. If your Agni, that means the digestive power is not good. We say that a lot of diseases originate from the gut, right? So that has to be taken care of. So a lot of procedures are mentioned to keep your gut health in check. So to do a modern spin, to understand what is happening in the gut, we are partnering with a gut microbiome company so that you can have both Ayurveda recommendations and gut microbiome recommendations considered to give personalized dietary. So that's the new concept that is just about to launch.
Got it. So all about kefirs and probiotic foods, I guess.
Well, I have a comment on that, right? See, sometimes all the fad foods, right, we go to the extremes. Okay, I strongly believe that, right, balance is more important, right? What is the best probiotic food that all of us have access to? It's the curd, right? So I think we sometimes go looking for solutions, right, as a fad outside. But if you just take certain fruits and vegetables, they are more than enough to keep you healthy. Because even if you take the probiotics, a lot of these probiotics, right, we don't know what is their efficacy, because due to stomach acid, etc., most of the bacteria will die. And even they reach the colon or a large intestine, they need to have the right environment for them to grow. So sure, you can take all the probiotics you want, but if your body is not absorbing them, you will not see any benefit. So I would prefer a natural way of, making your gut healthy and your bacteria eating the fiber, vegetables to grow normal, because that's what they're used to. They're not used to kefirs 2000 years back to grow in the gut.
True, very true. So any figures or any statistics which you can share, or any user feedback or testimonials in the journey so far, which kind of gives you confidence that you're on the right track? Anything you can share?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, when we started this program, right, we were not sure, because in the startup, the average is 25 to 30, right? We were not sure how the wellness program will be received. A very interesting one case, of course, I'll describe, right? There was, an employee. He could not get sleep for over a year. He went to all the doctors and they said, you take rest, you will get sleep. But he spent so much money, right? And still he could not get sleep, because sleep we don't see as a huge disease, right? If you go to someone and say, I'm not getting sleep, say, oh, just take rest, your body needs sleep. But it just could not be solved, right? And when we did the corporate wellness program, our doctor consulted, understood, right, the reason why this person is not getting sleep. And she prescribed, right, some changes in the diet and the medicine. Within 3 days, he came back with a smiling face, right, and said that first time, right, in more than a year, I'm sleeping for more than 8 hours a day.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
So when I heard this, okay, great, we are on the right track.
Fantastic. Thanks, Bala. This gives a great perspective. And thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in. Do subscribe, share, and like this podcast. Consider giving the podcast a 5-star rating if you like the content. Bye for now. Talk to you soon.